Hello everyone and welcome. It appears that we are now live. Please let me know very quickly if you see any issues or if there's any problems with the stream. The camera is going to be a bit wobbly because it's sitting on top of my monitor there, but let me know whether everything's alright. Come on, someone give me a yes or something. I see hello, hello, hello. Somebody says I'm looking fine. Please be careful, I am married, so you'll need to just watch for that. I'm just going to share with some people on Facebook that I am I am live, and then I shall look at some of the chat stuff and I shall answer your questions. Oh, excuse me. So this is a good time, I guess, for me to do a very shameful plug. If you don't follow me on Facebook, then you could follow me on Facebook. I'm live now! Exclamation mark. Control. Share now. There we go. I am currently live on Facebook. My Facebook followers will be able to see that. So if you want to follow me on Facebook, just search for Trent Hamilton NZ, all one word, and you should see me. You should come up with me on there. So yeah, that will be exciting. Wouldn't that be exciting? Right, so some questions. Barry the Tone. Can you show a spit valve repair video for baritones and euphoniums in the future? My repair skills are very underdeveloped. I have several tools and things, myself being one of those tools, but I don't have any real knowledge. It's just me doing stuff in my garage and hopefully working it out for the best. Every time I do any sort of repair, fix-it video or anything like that, I get a huge amount of abuse from actual repairers saying that I should have done this, I should have done that, all the rest of it. So I'm quite reluctant to do repair videos given that I don't have real training and it's just me playing around, but yeah. Somebody asked about other social media platforms. I'm currently on Facebook. I have no desire to do Instagram. I have no desire to do Snapchat or any of those other ones. So Facebook and YouTube keep me occupied well enough. Somebody's asked about streaming to Twitch. Yes, I've considered it. The program that I currently use now is called XSplit, and I'm looking at, and that actually costs me quite a lot to keep using. So I'm looking at changing to a different program that I use, and if that streams to Twitch, then I might as well do two at the same time. Michael Jameson, how old were you when you started playing, and which instrument was your starter? I was 4 years old when I started learning. My granddad taught me. Being a 4-year-old trying to play the cornet, I was on the cornet that I started, and trying to learn how to play an instrument when you are that age. It was sort of a middling sort of mixed success. Currently live on YouTube, and so my lessons sort of were just a bit, I don't know, they weren't particularly serious. Generally speaking, it's great to have exposure to instruments and music from a young age, but from what I'm told and from what I've heard, sort of 7 or 8 is the best age to start learning because the attention span's just that little longer. And you know, that's apparently, from what I've been told, a good age to start. My favourite percussion instrument, I love listening to a vibraphone or a marimba. They're sort of almost not percussion instruments because they need skill to play. This is obviously not a serious comment. But I just, the skill of marimbists and vibraphoners, whatever they're called, is just great. I love listening to those players on, those people playing those solos on YouTube. What's the hardest piece of music you played? I don't know. It depends how you define hard. Some people take hard music as being the one with all the gazillion black notes on it, and some people say trying to captivate the soul and expression of a slow melody can be more hard than fast music. So I guess the hardest piece of music is the one that tests your weaknesses the most. And I don't have the answer. I don't have an answer for you. Jason Schilling, have you ever played a John Packer euphonium? What do I think of them? John Packer instruments in general are sort of like the next step up from just basically from your real basic Chinese stuff. They're made in China, just like Wessex instruments are, but I understand that they have a higher level of quality checking that goes along with them. When I was at the national brass band competitions last weekend down in Blenheim, New Zealand, there was a selection of John Packer instruments there, and they felt all right in the hand. I didn't get the opportunity to play one because there are other people around and I didn't want to look too much like an idiot. Other than the comment that when they stamped the logo on, they stamped the logo on so hard you could see the reverse of the logo from inside the bell. I don't really have too much to say about them. I've played a John Packer E-flat bass. You'll be able to see a review that I did of it previously, but yeah. Barry the Tone, what was the most expensive instrument you own? It depends how you work out value. Monetary value, the most expensive instrument, the most valuable instrument that I own is probably, I don't know, one of my trombones, either my King 7B bass trombone or my Getson 3047 AFR Thayer valve tenor trombone. There's also a number of historical instruments that I have. I don't know what the values of them would be, so it's sort of hard to it's sort of hard for me to know. I've got a JP trombone. It's awful. Go for a Yamaha instead. Yeah. Okay, thanks for your opinion. I don't disagree with you. I just haven't got any experience with JP trombones in order to add or subtract from what you've said. What does somebody else say? What's the oldest instrument you own? I've done a review of it. It's a 140-something-year-old Cornet. It's a DeLacy Cornet made in the 1870s. So I've done a review on that if you're interested in seeing that one. I got moved to sop in my brass band, and notes I can hit on trumpet just to disappear on the soprano cornet. And when they do come through, the tone is awful or it's really quiet. How can I fix this? When it comes to advice about your personal training and your personal instrument, musicianship, etc., that really depends on how you're performing. And the only way to get any real advice on that is to have somebody knowledgeable in person see how you play and assess what you're trying to do. There's no, because music is such an individual thing, there is no advice that I can give you right now that's just going to be correct or helpful without seeing how you play and what you're trying to achieve. I'm going into grade 9. Is there any open wrap trombone brand you would recommend for when I go to university? Grade 9 is in the American schooling system, grade 9. I'll presume so. I've got no idea how old that is. Open wrap trombones come in many brands and varieties to fit the budget of every person. You can get a $200 US Chinese open wrap trombone that is going to give you syphilis and the clap. I wouldn't recommend that. But then on the other hand, you could get a Bach Stradivarius 42B O, I think is the model name, open wrap with a single standard rotary valve. That's going to be at the other end of the playing spectrum. So I can't answer that really. Yeah. Please help with tripilates. Don't know what tripilates are. Alex, would you ever consider selling any of the instruments you own? Yes. I would consider selling some of them. Some of the instruments that I own, like the ones that belong to my grandfathers, I've even got an instrument that belonged to my great-grandfather, would never consider selling them ever. But other instruments that I have, I don't see why not. Anything that I'm not emotionally attached to is just a commodity that could be sold and all the rest of it. Alan Michelson, when I try to get a high note on my trumpet, it sounds like it doesn't want to come hour. How can I fix this? I'd suggest getting a new trumpet. If you can't play a certain note, it's never the player's fault, and it's always the instrument's fault. So by getting a new instrument, that should solve that problem for you nicely. Deluxe Bubble, I play the B-flat sovereign tuba. Do you have any tips on maximizing the quickness of the instrument, even though I know they aren't quick? Well, simple thing, you want to get something really reputable like a Chinese-made trombone. The B-flat sovereign's just rubbish, and it's not surprising that you can't play particularly fast on them. Sorry, that's not a helpful answer, is there? With B-flat tubas, they're not nimble instruments. They're not instruments that you're going to be able to play with huge clarity on them. But one of the things that may help, certainly helped me when I was trying to work really hard on the B-flat tuba, is getting your fingers moving as fast as you can. If you minimize the time where the valve is in a partial up or down position, then you can help getting some clarity or help building some clarity. The vibrations through the instrument are a bit slower. You need a stronger ear support to get those notes speaking properly. And if you've got fingers that are moving quite slowly, then you're going to aggravate the clarity of the note. So that's just the only little piece of advice that I really have. Do I like tuba? Well, it depends on the flavour of the tuba and indeed the taste. Raw brass tubas aren't very nice, but silver-plated tubas taste a lot nicer. Adam Alfaro, what did you work on first? Tone, range, fundamentals, or rhythm? I don't really know that I had any set practice routine for a very long time. Now when I try to practice, I try to work on my tone, the sound that I'm actually producing. I also try to work on finger dexterity, like having your fingers being able to do the right things quickly and accurately without sort of having fingers attached to each other. Sort of a secret about me is that my hands are like that. These fingers here don't stay in the middle of my hands. Both hands are sort of like this. I sort of jokingly say they're computer mouse hands because that's how you have them on a mouse. But that's what my hands are like. And I have massive palms, but I have stumpy fingers. And so trying to have fingers articulating separately from each other is something that has been a challenge for me. And so I've been working on a lot of finger dexterity stuff recently into my practice. But flexibility is the other thing that I work on. So I guess to answer your question, the things that is most important to me is tone, flexibility, those sort of fundamentals. Everything else, once you've got those under control, will sort of tend to fall into place. How does the Getson 3047 trombone compare to, say, Yamaha Zeno or a Jupiter XR? I don't know. I haven't played any decent Yamaha trombones. The only Jupiter I played was my old, I can't remember the model number of it, but it was an old Jupiter double rotary valve bass trombone. I've done a review of that previously as well. I don't have that anymore. I think it was a knockoff of the Con 112, something like that. I can't remember. So I don't know. Personally, I've noticed on the Getson 37, it's a very, very bright trombone. You don't have to put much air through it to get a very, very bright sound, which can be a good thing or can be a bad thing. Ben Morgan kindly asks, why are you so fat? Because every time you're... No, I won't go that. I know that's really mean. How can I tactfully put him down without saying something awfully rude? I don't know. Something generic about your mum giving me biscuits. There we go. My teacher says if you can't get a good sound, your embouchure is wrong and you don't put air in it right. Is that good advice? Good advice is telling you something that helps. Telling you what you're doing wrong without giving you a correct suggestion is never going to be good advice. If I had to play a higher member of the trombone family, alto and above, what would you choose? Don't know. I've jokingly played piccolo and soprano trombone for a couple of times as a novelty. If I was to try and seriously play something, I don't know. Alto's the only sort of half serious. Well, alto is a serious instrument. Soprano and above is just a bit silly. Ever played a custom Shires trombone before? I've played a couple of Shires trombones. Actually, I'm just trying to think. Were they Shires or Edwards? I can't quite remember. But I've played what I think was either a Shires or an Edwards trombone with double Thayers, but it was many years ago. I can't really remember any real details of it. So I may or may not have played one. I am fat because I eat the souls of my enemies. I don't have any enemies. Even woodwind players find me charming and attractive in real person. They say the camera adds 10 kilograms. I've tried to stop eating cameras, but they just taste so nice. I'm a 7th grade trumpet player. Can you give me some tips for hitting high notes? Don't hit them, try to play them instead. But don't worry about high notes. Don't worry about who's got the biggest range and things like that. One of the best pieces of advice that I'm going to give you, and this is probably going to be hard advice to follow, but no one cares who's got the longest, biggest range, who can play the loudest, who can play the longest notes, who can do that. No one cares. It doesn't matter. Let your skill, let your talent speak for you. The guy that comes into a practice rooms and plays at quintuple forte, or trentissimo as I used to call it, is just a dick. They're just measuring the length of their trumpet penis. I can't stand any of that. So let your playing do the talking for you, but in a good way. The guy that comes up and says, I can play louder than you, I can play higher than you, they never achieve anything because no one wants to be around them. Don't be that guy. If you're trying to work on your range though, let it be the second or third thing that you do. Work on the fundamentals first. Your ear, your flexibility, your dexterity, all of that sort of stuff is far more important than just pure range. So that's, you know, something, my just general piece of advice. What do I think about Carl Glasser instruments? I don't know. I've never played them. I've never played one of them. How can I play louder on a tuba without losing good tone quality? There's been very few occasions where I can think of an actual need where you need to play a tuba so loud that if you didn't play loud enough, then you wouldn't be heard. The bass of a tuba is gonna be present. Even if it's really, really quiet, you're still gonna tell whether a tuba is playing or not, generally speaking. Just the same thing, you can always tell whether there's a piccolo playing in an orchestra because it sits above everyone else. So, yeah. Generally, if you have to force something out in a tuba, you're doing it wrong. If you can make sure, firstly, that you're physically fit, though, because a tuba does require a lot of air, but if you're blowing so hard that your sound distorts, then there's something wrong with the fundamentals of what you're doing. Have I ever played a string instrument? My wife learnt violin for a period of time. I've tried to play a violin. I can play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on one. I learnt bass guitar a number of years ago, so I can play bass guitar to a reasonable extent, but that's about it. What do I think of DCI? DCI is, well, Drum Corps International's a bit of a weird thing for me. On the one hand, I admire the athleticism of it. On the other hand, I think it's all bombast and fustian. 10 points if anyone knows what that means without looking it up. It's just, to me, so very unnecessary. So yeah, that's my thing. I admire and respect the musicians for their talent and for their athleticism, but on the whole, I think it's pointless. I think it's just unnecessary. Although probably very entertaining. I've never seen it in person. I've only seen it on YouTube. So maybe if I saw something in real life, I might feel differently. What would happen if you farted in a tuba? Well, if you farted in a tuba, the tuba would probably disintegrate and melt down into a puddle. If I tried to fart into a tuba, it would come out smelling of roses, and people would be queuing for miles to be able to get that very tuba. How often do I play pipe organs? Oh, sorry, I can't pronounce your name because it's squiggles and lines and I don't know. That's beyond my intelligence to understand. But the question, how often do I play pipe organs? Not very often. Those of you who are familiar with me, my content and my channel, will know that I have back problems. In fact, I'm going to be having my third lot of spinal surgery this coming Wednesday, New Zealand time. And sitting on a pipe organ bench with the arms and the feet going is, excuse me, is something that is way beyond my capabilities at the moment. So I haven't played a real pipe organ for quite a number of years. The trombone teacher is telling me to look up trombone players. Any you recommend? Entirely depends on what genre you're looking at. There are a number of really good trombonists on YouTube that you can look at and learn things from. And what I recommend you do is sort of have a model in your head of the sort of musician that you want to be like. So for instance, you might listen to a certain musician and say, I want Alan Vizuti's technique, I want somebody else's sound, I want somebody else's vibrato, I want something from this and that, and use that as a model for how you want to play. Alan Michelson, can you play something, one of your instruments? Hopefully that fits the bill. Trent, I have to go, but I'm a huge fan and I love UR videos. Au revoir. I'm glad that you're a huge fan. Does that give you any challenges in your personal life? Like when you go through the airport, do you have issues with metal detectors and things if you're a huge... Sorry, it's a stupid thing. Thank you very much for your video, for your comment. Trent, what is the hardest brass instrument you've ever played? How do you define hard? This one's pretty solid. Pretty solid. Because it's not made out of Chinesium. This is British made brass and it's a whole lot stronger than the Chinesium brass. So this is probably a very hard instrument. Can you kill somebody with a trombone? Well, I'll have to ask your victims. Does anyone listening to you practice drop dead? I don't know. What is my favorite music score? 100 Not Out. One Rogis, why aren't my comments showing up? I don't know. I don't know. Your comments aren't showing up. I've noticed that several times that your comments aren't showing up. I play trombone and tend to run into the issue where I shake when I change slide positions. Is there a way to fix that? You shake when you change slide positions. Like shake hands, nice to see you. No, 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 no. Don't get it. Milkshake? No, I don't know. What instruments outside the brass family do I play? I play a lot of things. Piano, which is almost like an honorary brass instrument. Pipe organ, which is almost better than a brass instrument in a way, in a very unimportant way. But so yeah, piano, pipe organ. I'm trying to learn a piano accordion at the moment. I know how to play a couple of woodwind instruments and things like that, but yeah. My sarcasm is literally the best thing ever. Oh, is it? I'm delighted that you like it. Do you have your alto trombone handy? No, it's in my storage unit somewhere. Is it hard to switch from brass to woodwind? I play baritone, French horn, and trumpet, but I want to learn tenor sax. What on earth is a baritone French horn? I've never heard of such a thing. It's not hard to switch from brass to woodwind. You just have to deal with the disappointment of your parents. In my case, my parents are already disappointed in me, so there wasn't any real challenge there. I should be a comedian. No, I don't like people. Have I ever tried to play Flight of the Bumblebee? Yes, I have. Yes, sorry, yes it is possible to play Flight of the Bumblebee. I can play it, I just don't have any more of it memorized. Is it possible to consume a brass instrument? Yes, but trying to have it excreted out of you at the other end is a little bit painful. Yes, I'd much prefer to sticking to eating woodwind instruments, because then you're doing the world a favour. My friend recommended that I get an F trigger trombone when I get to high school. What do you recommend? Well, he's told you, get an F trigger trombone. What more do you need? I play French horn. Can you give me tips on high/low note range? Yes, high notes, beep, low notes, rah, sort of like that. What do I think concert wind music? Yep. Oh, okay. Thank you for your contribution. Rounded to the nearest 1000, what is your IQ? 54. Can I play something on French horn right now? No, because when you said right now is now in the past, so I can't do that, sorry. What is my favourite brass instrument? Your mum. No, sorry. I don't have a favourite. It depends on the mood that I'm in. If I'm in a sort of bass trombone-y sort of mood, then I'll play the bass trombone. If I'm in a cornety sort of mood, I'll play the cornet. My stream is lagging. Oh well. Do I still have the Wiggles trumpet? Yes, I do. It's one of my prized possessions. I've actually got it in a storage unit. It's on a safe, and to get to it, you walk up a 3-stead dais, and it's on a plinth there inside a safe. I don't want anything to happen to it until it's time to hand it down to my grandkids. My PP fell off. What should I do? Play FF instead. Do you ever feel like my skills on instruments have stagnated? If so, how you deal with it? With lots of crying at night and cuddling my teddy bear. What is the best baritone brand that is durable and has a good sound? Pavarotti. No, he's a tenor, wasn't he? What is the best baritone brand? Sound in an instrument, and here's a serious answer, is very little to do with the actual instrument itself. I have seen and heard brilliant musicians pick up a rubbish instrument and make it sound nice. It may not be very fun to play as the musician, but the quality of the instrument and how it sounds is more to do with how an instrument sounds is much more to do with the player rather than the instrument itself. What's your opinion on sea trumpets? Well, frankly, they let us down in the war, and that's why we're not speaking German. Where is the 6-valve trumpet? It is there, up there, where it shall remain. Is that your mellophonium in the back, or do I see something else? Is that a mellophonium in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? Yes, this here is my mellophonium. This was, oh gosh, this here. It was sent to me by a guy in Canada. It cost me $1 million to ship it here, and it sits on my wall of many things. What do I think of this? It looks like a tiny little yellow tick. I don't know. Batch King or Yamaha? I haven't played a huge number of Bach instruments. I love some of the older Kings. I haven't played any modern Kings. And what came before Kings, the HN White Company, I love their instruments. As for Yamaha, I haven't played anything recent from them. The only Yamahas I've played are the old Yamahas that were rubbish. How much was your B-flat tuba? Because my B-flat tuba is a double tuba and costs $15,000. Why don't you donate to my channel if you can afford to spend $15,000 on a tuba, hey? Gosh. My B-flat tuba was the only B-flat tuba I own is my 1926 B-flat tuba, which was actually donated to me. No, sorry, it cost me 150 Australian dollars. That's right. Every other B-flat tuba that you've seen me play belongs to a band that I work for. Is it normal for a brass band conductor to get mad and break a student's instrument? Yes, it is, absolutely. It's also normal for brass band conductors to spontaneously combust, spend evenings around at your mother's place for no apparent reason. It's also normal for brass band conductors to have many women that just sort of flock around them, and also to wear glasses. They're very, very common things for a brass band conductor to do. Can you play an excerpt of something on the mellophonium? Sorry, I'm not familiar with that piece. If you send me a sheet music, I'll have a look at it. Do you play, or are you interested in jazz? jazz doesn't resonate with me. I have played it, I've been in a big band and things like that, but the sort of jazz where you start with a melody, you have 30 or 40 minutes of people going halfway through and then finish with something, no, I just don't get that at all. Doesn't interest me any way, doesn't interest me. Classical music where you reach perfection by playing and mastering your skills accurately is something I really appreciate. But jazz where I've never understood the technique or anything like that, it doesn't do anything for me. I'm assuming Trent is a brass band conductor. I conduct a brass band, but I'm not a brass band conductor. Have I ever played a melodica? Yes, my Nana, long may she rest in peace. Well, I hope she'll rest in peace because we buried her some time ago. Had one when I was growing up, so I have played on it. Is there a way to get rid of my school's orchestra? I really don't like strings. It depends which country you're into. In the UK, they would write a letter and then have a bake sale. In the US, they'd probably blow them up. I know that the strings, the bigger they are, the longer they stay on fire. But yeah, no decent school would recommend or encourage the use of string instruments. So it sounds like you go to a pretty low quality school. DR Barry, I'm not going to assume for a moment that I have a doctor listening to this, but watching this, but DR Barry says, how many instruments do you have? Many instruments. I can't count because even though I have 10 fingers and 10 toes, I don't understand how to count beyond that. Can I donate a $20,000 instrument? You can, but I don't think you will. Can I play Incanto by Robert W. Smith on the baritone and trumpet? I don't know that piece of music. I don't know the guy who wrote it, and I can't play the baritone and trumpet at the same time. How do you fund your brass band hobby? I actually walk the streets at night and picked up and no, I won't say that. So I work at the moment as a solutions architect. Telecommunications is the industry in which I work in. And the company I work for is actually at the moment going through a bit of a restructure. So I don't actually know how long I'm going to have my current job, but I'll find out next week, in which time it won't be commercially sensible. It's probably actually a really bad idea for me to have said that, given that it's supposed to be confidential, but I don't think any of you know who I work for, so that doesn't matter. So that funds my YouTube stuff. YouTube costs me quite a lot of money to be able to do, and that's just in the subscriptions for the things that I do. So I've got the subscription for Adobe, the subscription for the streaming stuff, and some of the other tools that I use to do this. So YouTube is quite expensive, and I don't get much money from it, which is why I'm always talking about Patreon and things, because that really helps. But yeah, that's how I get my money. Please say that's a lot of damage for my friend, please. I don't believe for a minute that you have a friend. But on the off chance that they are imaginary and are inside your head, that's a lot of damage. You need an apostrophe between the that and the S. Somebody asked about the time. It is 8:36 p.m. on Friday evening here. Why not just pirate Adobe? Because I prefer using Adobe with two eyes. Can I still play the solo from Traveling Along? Oh, I haven't played that for years and years and years. No, I can't. Don't know it. Trent, I brought a trombone with a rough slide. Where can I take it in Welly to get serviced? I don't know. I don't know anyone in Wellington who I can sort of really recommend their services. If there's slides are really risky things to buy secondhand. Well, you buy trombone. You buy trombones, not just the slides, presumably. If it's really rough, then try getting a new one. It's probably the easiest and best advice that I can give you. But music service, oh, they're called Vanguard now. They might be a good place to start. I don't know. Do I still have that 5-valve trumpet? Yes, I did. I've already talked about that before. Do you tell us an instrument joke? An instrument joke. I can't think of anything funny about music, so probably not. Have you heard or played Circus B. Boo John Philip Sousa? No. No, I don't. What's the best way to play a woodwind instrument? Don't. Socialism versus capitalism. Capitalism is only valid if you have a capital C at the start, otherwise then the socialists win. Somebody said, thanks, you're welcome. Using the power of flex tape is sawed my trombone in half and fixed it only using flex tape. Wow, what a man. Bach, King or Yamaha? Somebody already asked that and I answered it before. Donald Trump, question mark. Can you please stop asking me to say specific things for your sister? The last time I saw her, she didn't really care about what I had to say. It was quite upsetting. Can you play the Dance of the Nights? I don't know it. If I had the music, I might be able to play it, unless it's hard, and then I wouldn't, in which case I wouldn't be able to play it. Piccolo trumpet or bass trumpet? It's like asking me what's the difference between Tinder and Grindr. What's your favourite instrument you own? Oh, that's really, really difficult, because I have a lot of instruments that mean a lot to me depending on various things. So I've got some sentimental instruments. I've got some instruments that are actually valuable. I've got some instruments that are historic, some that are rare. So what's my favourite instrument? I really don't know. I really don't know. Have you ever tried pouring liquid tofu into a cornet and tried playing it? No, because if I have anything made out of tofu, my first instinct is to set it on fire, because it's not a real food. When are you going to sell some stuff? Lol. I don't know. You only YOLO once, so I don't know. I might sell it soon. Trent, I'm one of 2 wayward kids that wanted a photo. Oh, David, what does that say? Paligora. Can you send me that photo? Either send it to me on Facebook or send it to me on my email address or something, because I'd be really interested in seeing how that came out. But that would be really cool. Play the USSR national anthem. I'm not very good at playing by ear. My ear is very, very poor at playing anything because it's all small and flobbery. And so I need music in front of me. How is my accordion playing going, and could you play something on it? It's over there. It's the end of near the end of the day here in New Zealand, and because of the back issues that I talked about before, I'm kind of sore at the moment. So no, I'm not going to be picking that up and playing it. It's pretty much where you heard me last time. I've been doing a little bit better with some of the practice and things, but yeah, I'll do another episode on that at some point, probably after my surgery. Want to hear a joke? What's the difference between a clarinet and a mouse? You can't hear a mouse squeak during a concert. Is that the best you can do? I'm very impressed. Wow. I'm literally falling off my chair. Thankfully I sit on the floor, so it doesn't matter that I've fallen off my chair. Does playing your woodwinds mess with your brass embouchure, and do you find it difficult switching between brass instruments embouchure wise? The hardest part about playing a woodwind instrument is the lack of dignity. If you can get over that, then it's not really too difficult. As far as switching between brass instruments, it depends sort of why you're switching. If I was to, you know, play a concert on a trombone and then go and play another concert or you know, higher grade challenging stuff on a cornet, then absolutely it'd be a challenge. But when I'm just out here playing music for my own enjoyment, then it's not normally too bad. Do you find it hard to balance a normal job and having music as a hobby? I find it hard to balance anything anyway. It's like being on a seesaw. It's always very much leaned in my direction. Using the power of flex tape, I sawed this flute in half, and I'm debating it using flex tape. What do you think? I don't know what flex tape is. You sawed a flute in half using flex tape. Well, that's a bit weird. But why on earth would you want to fix it? I have no idea. Are there any famous brass band composers from New Zealand? Probably. Dean Goffin was my favourite brass band composer. He's another one that we buried a while ago, presumably because he died. But his music is probably my favourite. What did you do to the mini sousaphone? I sold it years ago. Please look up Dance of the Nights by Van Hetty. Yes, I'll stop the stream immediately, drive over and pop into my local Google, and I'll do that right now. So I'm sorry everyone, no, I'm just not going to do that. I am part 2 of the Wayward Kids. Thanks for the pick. Which band was your favourite to listen to at the Nationals? Again, Alexander, send me that photo that you guys forced me against my will to take. That would be really cool. I listened to a few of the bands. I didn't get to listen to the A grades too much because I ended up having to fly home that Saturday evening, but it was just fantastic to listen to all the bands. It was really good. You actually got money for that piece of trash sousaphone. I did, but the person who bought it, ironically, was a music artisty sort of person who wanted it as a decorative piece, because that's all it was. I also work for a telecommunications company. I'm glad that we have this common bond, Trent. We are brothers that are the backbone of the modern information age. Yes. Wavelength division multiplexing for the win. Ever blow harder to cover a fart? No, don't be ashamed of your farts. They are one of the things that is immediately socially acceptable when you play a brass instrument. They're just, it's just like woodwind instruments being disappointments to their family. They go together. Percussionists being a little bit, sort of end up in prison one day. That you just sort of expected. Black Dyke Band or Corey Band, which is better? Well, I don't know. I love listening to the Corey Band. I love listening to the Black Dyke Band. I still think that they should be called Black Dyke Mills, but, you know, I'm just an old person like that. Do I sing? My singing is referred in the Bible as wailing and gnashing of teeth. So I can sing. I have been requested by my neighbours, and in fact the whole community presented me with a petition asking me not to, and my shower is double glazed so that no one has to hear me sing. But, so yeah, can I sing? I probably shouldn't. You are the best and sensual instrument review YouTuber. Yes, I'm very sensual. Which solo category will you enter if you compete next year? Probably whatever instrument I end up playing will be the instrument that I end up competing on. I don't know what I'm going to be playing this time next year. I'm having spinal surgery next week, so I don't know what I'll be able to play. I certainly will not be playing B-flat tuba anymore, but whether I play trombone, Eupho, cornet, something else, don't know. But whatever I play will be probably what I compete on. My favourite animal is an elephant, a big majestic elephant, and the reason why I like it is because it has a trumpet on its face. Have you tried a pocket cornet? Yes, I have tried a pocket cornet. In fact, I have one right there. So yes, in fact I've done a review on them. Is SAI Musical a good company for instruments? Absolutely, one of the best. If you can get an instrument from SAI Musical, you will have discovered the pinnacle, indeed the Everest of music manufacture. The excellence and just brilliance that goes into not just their instrument creation, but the science behind their instruments is just spectacular. You will not see anything better than that from anyone else. So go out to SAI Musical. Their website is just as good as their instrument ranges are. What's your opinion on house music? I personally prefer my house, I have a preference for my house not making sounds, particularly in the night. Am I taking a hiatus from posting to YouTube for my surgery and recovery? I'm supposed to be taking 6 weeks off at least, guided by how I'm doing is part of my recovery, but I've got a bunch of videos that I have recorded but not edited, and it's hoping that over the next few weeks I will just be editing and publishing them periodically as I am able to. I'm also planning on doing live streams because I can sit on my couch and do live streams, so that will work. That will be what I'm planning to do for the next little while. Trent, not only do we both work for telecom companies, I have a compression fracture in my back. We both have spinal issues. The bond between us is deeper than just these surface level things. Yes, we were separated from the spine at birth. I have 3 ruptured discs L34455S1. I have a broken pars interarticularis joint. I've had a 3-level laminectomy, and all of those problems are problems with me. So yes, can you make a difference? Can you please make a video about the differences between rotary and piston valves? It would be interesting to hear my point of view. Well, from a playing point of view, one goes and the other one goes So that's pretty much it. As a serious question though, or a serious answer rather, is that piston valves tend to have, rotary valves tend to have a much crisper articulation. They have you can pretty much always tell a rotary valve from a piston valve just by the sound of it, because it has a really nice crisp articulation to it. It's probably my preference, because you don't have to move your fingers as much. The articulation is crisper, and they're mechanically quite a lot more simple than piston valves. Have I ever thought of going vegan? I am vegan. Am I into cars? If so, what would be my favourite? I'm not into cars right now, but I get into cars whenever I need to go to work, or whether I need to go to my my vegan, what's the alternative to McDonald's? Vegan Donald's. I'm not sure. Have you played a rotary valve trumpet? You asked me whether I've played a rotary valve trumpet, and I have one there. That's a rotary valve cornet. I have 3 other rotary valve trumpets, as well as a rotary valved French horn thing above me there, and 2, you can't see them on the floor here, but I have 2 rotary valve baritone tenor horn things on the floor behind me. So no, I've never played one. Your T11, so that's near the top, isn't it? Thoracic, then lumbar. So mine's the lumbar and sacrum area, so right down the bottom of my back. What about a rotary valve trombone? Yes, Google is your friend. You'll see many rotary valve trombones. Have I ever played a Wagner tuba? A Wagner tuba is the only difference between a Wagner tuba is that in a standard rotary valve baritone is that the valves are, or at least the levers for the valves, are on the other side, and you play them with your left hand. So the instrument is exactly the same function and form. It's just that the levers for the valve, or the keys for the valves, are on the other side, and you use your left hand. Hi Trent, Wayward Kid here again. If I send you the photo I took right now, will you show it on the air? Yes, I'll print it off and go whew. If I can figure out how to get it displayed to everyone, then yeah, I might do that. Have I ever played a brass instrument? No, my parents wouldn't let me until after I ate my vegetables. I should start a column giving life advice on things such as health and fitness, relationships, sports, all things that I'm perfectly qualified to give advice on. I should sort of have my own little column. If I composed a theme and variations and sent it to you, would you play it? Oh, absolutely, I'd love to play it. Yeah. Somebody, there we go. My sister has epilepsy and he denied her request. There's got to be some context around that I'm not sure. Make a Reddit. Make a Reddit. As in an alternative Reddit, perhaps called Treddit, that other people can Reddit. How do I get big muscles like you? I have all of my big muscles by carrying around insulation with me. I do underfloor insulation just by lying under a floor. I also do wardrobe insulation by standing inside people's wardrobes. Have I ever been to Australia? I've been to Australia a number of times. I was in Australia a couple of months ago for work. I've done 2 brass band tours to Australia, and I think that's about it. I've been a total of, I think, and I've been once for a conference for work too. So I've been, I think, 4 times to Australia. Do I like jazz because I'm black? How dare you, you racist piece of... I don't know what to describe you. You racist woodwind player. How dare you? My favourite animal, as I said before, is an elephant because it has a trumpet on its face. What's my favourite piece of music? The John Cage 433. What do I think about XXX Temptation Rip? I have no idea what that is. It sounds like something I should care about deeply, but I don't. My sarcasm is so buttery that it is sometimes impossible to tell if I'm being sarcastic or not. It's amazing. Well, thank you very much. That means just so much to me. What do I think about being under the dominion of Queen Elizabeth by virtue of being a citizen of the Commonwealth? Well, she's actually a virtuoso euphonium player, so I think that that's just fantastic. And gosh, that husband of hers is quite the dish, isn't he, Prince Philip? Alright, so I've been sent a photo that people took with me when I was in when I was at the Nationals, and I'm going to see if I can put it up on the screen. Oh, media files, downloads, let's see. Yes, on the screen right now is the photo that I had taken of me with a couple of weird people at the national competitions. I'm in the middle. You will notice my face being very similar to the face that you can see on my shoulders at the moment. And then there's, is that a man or a, I'm not sure. And then there are two people around me. So that's that. Am I interested in buying a baritone saxophone? I'd love to have a baritone saxophone. I think a baritone saxophone and a bassoon are the only woodwind instruments that have dignity and poise. So if you want to sell me a baritone saxophone, as long as it is affordable for a person that's about to potentially lose his job next week when they lay off my entire team, then yes, I'd love to have a baritone. There's a whole lot of rips on the thing. I don't know why, but I don't think it matters. Do I know what the Auckland Youth Orchestra is? At a guess, I'd say it's a youth orchestra located in Auckland, but what would I know? Have I ever cleaned your brass instrument using a mixture of vinegar and tomato paste? No, but I have used a cinder block that you put into a pestle, shake it down, add just a touch of salt and pepper, and some lemon juice, some ice cream, milk, and Diet Coke. Works brilliantly. It's like a wonder lubricant for the inside of your instrument. Really cleanses it out. Good for your bells too. How tall am I? I used to be 6'3" before I had my first spinal injury. Now I'm about 6'1.5". I should set up a Patreon to help with the expenses. What expenses? What are we talking about now? But I do have a Patreon. In the description of every video, if you see more, there is a Patreon link. So it's by the very, very generous donations of the people on Patreon that I am able to pay for the costs that I have in putting my YouTube channel together. Why will I lose? My team is. There's a proposal going around that's going to make my whole team redundant, and we're all going to lose our jobs. So. It's not certified. It's supposed to be confidential. I'm probably going to get in trouble for mentioning it. So if there's anyone here watching from my job, I'm not actually Trent Hamilton. I'm his twin brother, yes, who doesn't work for that company. In which case I'm not breaking any confidentiality rules. So yes, but I'll know early next week, ironically the day before my surgery, whether I have a job or not. Somebody has donated me $2 for my medical bills. I live in New Zealand. I have health insurance. My surgery is costing my health insurance company many tens of thousands of dollars. It's costing me nothing. And even if I didn't have health insurance, I could get it all done for free by our public health care. My first two spinal surgeries were both done under the public system and cost me nothing. But thank you for your $2 donation. Thank you very, very much. It goes a long way to a coffee. XXX Tentacion was a Spanish name, I presume, was a rapper that was tragically shot as he was driving out of somewhere. He died at the age of 20. It's always sad when any young person loses their life. I don't know the guy. I vaguely remember hearing something on the news. It was a while back, wasn't it? but I mean, a person having the name XXX and whatever the rest of it is pronounced, he wouldn't have been a Catholic choir boy, would he? He wasn't, you know, at the soup kitchen giving out gifts to the homeless when he was shot, was he? He was, I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't really want to talk about, or I don't want to say anything mean about people that have passed away. But yeah, you'll take your money back then. Yeah, sure. Give me a PayPal and I'll give that minus taxes and fees. So that will be nothing. Well, seriously, if you want your money back, then I'm happy to give it back. That's not a problem. But do be aware that YouTube does take 30% of anything you donate to me through YouTube. Thank you very much, Falcon, for your kind donation. Where is the 1926 B-flat tuba? As I'm sitting now, it's about 3 or 4 meters in that direction. Interestingly, well, not interesting, sadly, I had a second B-flat tuba of pretty much the same design, just a slightly different embellishment on the logo, that was made in 1937, and I sold that very recently. But as I was packaging it up, I realized that the second valve doesn't work, so I had to take the second valve out of my 1926 tuba and put it in the 1937 tuba. So now my 1926 tuba doesn't have a second valve, which is a bit sad. Somebody with a name that's just squiggles and lines asks, and I don't mean that in a racist way, I just mean I don't understand what those lines and squiggles mean. Do I go to church regularly? I go every week. I go to the Salvation Army. I conduct the local brass band there. I am a 6th generation bands person in the Salvation Army with and I played in the band with my mum as conductor and my dad as cornet and both of my granddads for a period of time, which was just fantastic. And I think I'm a 3rd generation conductor as well, so it's a pretty cool heritage. Have I ever been to Scotland? No, I haven't, but I'd love to go to Scotland one day just to see whether the Scottish accent's any good, you know. I get some haggis in me, play Scotland the Brave on my bagpipes. That would be fantastic. I want to go to Scotland one day. I want to go to Germany one day. I want to go to the UK one day. I want to go to the USA land one day. Yeah, Max Ramos, today is my birthday in 9.5 hours. How can it be your birthday today, but also in 9.5 hours? Well, I think it's only fair that I do this. I wouldn't do that for everyone, but after the special time your mother gave me the other week, I'm only too happy to oblige. By the way, how is that itch getting on? That sort of rash, is that? Yeah, anyway, I've been a bit mean. How much is my whole instrument collection? About this much. It's quite large, very large. I've been here for more than a year. You inspire me. That's a long time to wait for me to start this live stream. If you've been here for a year. Can I play ... the lick? No. What instrument was that? This was this is a a Boozy & Hawkes Sovereign Cornet. I've actually, one of the videos that I've got ready to go for when I'm having my surgery is a comparison between this, which is the original model Sovereign Cornet, and the BE928, which is the later model Sovereign Cornet, and just the sort of subtle differences between the two. So that's a video that I've recorded but not edited yet. When you played organ, could you actually play the entirety of the Vidor Toccata? I remember you played the first bit of it on the organ, on one of your organ videos. All I can play of the Vidor Toccata is the start. And that's about it. That's all I can play of it. I can play the entirety of Bach's Toccata in D minor. I can't play the fugue, other than the first part when it's just two hands going, but when you add the feet, I'm not intelligent enough for that. Can I play a little tune on an unusual instrument? I don't know what the little tune is. Send me sheet music. I've been here since about 20k subs. Well, I can beat that. I've been here since no subs. In fact, I think my first sub was my private YouTube account where I watch videos. That might have been my first sub, I don't know. What woodwind instrument? Right. Some air went down my throat. If I ever come to New Zealand, would you be down to slam some whiskey and do other things to each other, as you've mentioned things that men do with each other? No, I don't drink alcohol. I'd be happy to have a crisp glass of New Zealand spring water with you, perhaps with ice cubes and a cocktail umbrella, but that would be about it. And if you want me to slap you or do what you requested me to do with you, then I'm afraid I'm married and that would be inappropriate. Have I ever played oboe? I've only played the rank of pipes on an organ called oboe. I have never played an actual oboe. They're very, very expensive. One of the instruments I'd love to play one day is a bassoon, but I don't have one, and they're also very, very expensive. Fly to the Bumble, it's really not hard. It is just literally chromatic scales. What part of New Zealand do I live in? I live in Wellington. One day, can you play in Canto? That I would be really happy. It was the last song I did at my concert before my school shut down. Don't worry, they'll open again on Monday. It'll be fine. They often close down over the weekend. Question about DCI, I've already answered that before. Do I approve presumably of John Cage's 433 as music? What is your opinion? It's John Cage 433. It's supposed to be an interpretive thing. I think it's actually done as a piano solo or concerto or something. Yeah, I've never actually heard it played live. It's supposed to be one of those things where you listen to the sounds around you, and yeah. Fan meetup in Auckland for the Hamilton Nationals. If I'm going to the Hamilton Nationals, I'll be in Hamilton, not Auckland. See, there's a little problem about time and space there, where you can meet up in Auckland, but I won't be in Auckland because I'll be in Hamilton, because the Nationals are in Hamilton, hence the name Hamilton Nationals. Can I play Fly to the Bumblebee right now? Fly to the Bumblebee, you've asked. I don't know Fly to the Bumblebee, but I played Fly to the Bumblebee previously, or just an extract of it. On which instrument did you play your first ever note? Probably Cornet when I started learning. I started learning from my granddad when I was 4, sort of learning. Favorite movies? Ooh. No, I shouldn't say what just immediately sprung into my mind. I like the Shawshank Redemptions. I like Lord of the Rings, not because the movies are fantastic pieces of screenplay, even though they're not bad. But I love the lore that goes behind the Lord of the Rings and things like that. And if I had my own way, I'd have pets called Ecthelion and Thangarodrim and things like that. But unfortunately, I have a wife and she doesn't allow such things to that. Why do I shower to the Twilight theme song? I don't shower to the Twilight theme song. I have your sister playing a harp, gently singing to me as I wash all my voluptuous curves. What is my favourite sports? I'm into the long jump and the high jump. They're two things that I excel with because I bounce quite well, and so that gives me a little bit of extra momentum. What do I think about bands like Chicago, Earth, Wind and Fire, Ohio Players and other groups using horns/brass? I don't really understand the context of your question. I don't know those bands. I'm sure they do music well in their own way. I'm sure that if I was to listen to them, I would have many opinions, but I haven't, so I don't. Next question. I can only double tongue for like 3 or 4 seconds straight. The thing about double tonguing is to say the tuku sol phrase over and over again. So if you go tuku, it's very short, but if you repeat it by going tuku, 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 you'll find that you can double tongue for longer. Is the saying happy wife, happy life true? Yeah, I don't think I should answer that one. Do you have any tips for flutter tonguing on trombone? My recommendation is that you flutter tongue into your mouthpiece and not on the trombone yourself. Firstly, you'll make a mess. Secondly, no one wants to listen to it. As a New Zealander, do you understand baseball? Yes, I understand baseball because I have a basic level of human intelligence. Do I understand why Donald Trump's president of the United States? No, because I have a basic level of human intelligence. Oh, that's the same question. Is the tenor horn nice? No, it said several mean things to me personally, and it hurt my feelings at high school, stealing my lunch money. Tenor horn is not nice. Do I remember when you dropped the contrabass trombone and the tuba? I never dropped a tuba. As for the contrabass trombone, we've had our differences in the past, but he's forgiven me. He now cuddles me most nights, and it's okay again. Why do you have to bring up the past? It's so mean to do that. Hey Trent, do you have a link where I can send the sheet music? My email address, trenthamiltonnz@gmail.com will do, or if you search for Trent Hamilton NZ on Facebook, you can send me a message over there. Should I throw away my Boozy & Co. bugle? If it's anything like the Boozy & Co. bugle that I reviewed, then yes, because that is probably made in India and has no musical value. If it's an actual Boozy & Co. bugle, then no, send it to me. Do I like the taste of brass? Yes, not only do I like the taste of brass, but I like the texture too. It's just fantastic. Okay, you got me, Trenty boy. Ooh. Auckland meetup a week before Hamilton Nationals 2019, surely. Again, Auckland, Hamilton, Wellington, all the way down here. If I'm going Wellington to Hamilton, it's further for me to then go to Auckland. It makes no sense for me to take an extra week out of my life to go Wellington to Auckland, longer, more expensive, don't know people, strange city, Aucklanders, people around, and then come to Hamilton. Not sure, my geography wasn't very good, but that doesn't make sense to me and my limited intelligence. How about we all have a meetup in, I don't know, Invercargill? How about we both be inconvenienced to the same degree? Why are all my instruments fake and made in China? That one isn't, 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 that one's made in India, which is even worse. In fact, I don't think any of the instruments behind me were made in China, so sucks to be you. I need help with my math. What's 2 + 2 ? Fish ? You've uncovered yourself as a woodwind player. As a brass player, do I prefer playing in brass bands, harmonic bands, or orchestras? I've never heard of a harmonic band before, so I can't answer that one. But brass bands, I much prefer playing in brass bands. Orchestras, like play a triple piano note, rest for 467 bars, and then play another triple piano note, congratulate yourselves, and go home. Doesn't interest me at all. Whereas brass band, you tend to play the brass instruments because the brass instruments tend to be the focus of a brass band. Do you know how to play Rule Britannia? Bam 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 ba da 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 dam bam bam ba da dam bam ba da 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 dam bam 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 ba da dam bam 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 ba bam 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 bam. No. Alrighty, Trent Meister, I understand what you're doing here. Here we go. How about a fan meetup in Hamilton, and this is during the concert? How about that, mate? Yes, but the trouble is having a fan meetup implies that there are fans. I don't imagine anyone other than you knows me, and so that would be a bit weird for me to have some like big fan meetup, and then I'm the only person that arrives, and you, of course, which is just strange. How about you come to my motel and we can discuss things further? No, that's just weird. Yeah. Will you get mad if I spam your messenger with like 5 songs? You can go ahead. Do you play or know Miles Davis or John Coltrane? Yes, I've heard of both of them. I haven't played them because they may not appreciate that. Will Zealandia rise and control the world? Well, we already have, of course. How many languages can you speak? English. English with a Scottish accent. English with an Australian accent. Yeah. Sorry, I coughed. And I have water, but it's out of arm's reach. I might go and get that so I can have a drink and then empty my spit valve. There we go. I have returned. Show us an Australian accent. It's very hard to show an Australian accent, but I guess I could make it convincing by putting on a hat with sort of bottle corks floating from it and then being on the unemployment benefit is probably the best way to demonstrate the Australian accent. Have I ever been to Greece? No, but I've smeared much of it on my trombone. Good old Rotorua water. No, this is from my tap, but the bottle claims to be the fresh rain falls in the heart of the Kaimai Ranges. The droplets permeate deep into ancient rock. After a natural filtration process lasting up to 50 years, the water pushes its way to the surface, but from a labyrinth of aquifers, it emerges so pure it is crystal clear and appears an azure blue. This is how the fresh, crisp taste of kiwi blue is brought to us. Except not this, because this is from my tap. What made you join the BLT community? Well, the taste. Do you have an Instagram? I do have an Instagram. It's got, I think, 3 pictures of it, one of which is... my Instagram, seriously, is nothing interesting whatsoever. It has... in fact, it's just a personal Instagram made so I could stalk other people, not because I have anything of it. It's got a photo of my wall of many things, and my internet's not working because I'm stealing it all by doing a live stream. Yeah, it's got my updated wall of many things. Then I've got a few pictures of my little girl, and then I've also got a picture of the motorbike that I used to ride before my back got all knackered, extra knackered. I'd rather that you didn't try to connect with me on Instagram because I don't use it for anything really interesting. I don't really use it actually, so just connect with me on Facebook or anything like that. Do I have any interest in Orthodox ecclesiastic music? The Russian Orthodox stuff, the male choirs and things like that, I love that. Chesnikov, Rachmaninoff's Vespers, things like that, I love it. I love it. Okay, T-Rent. How about, can I seek you out in Hamilton in the limited amount of time you are there and take a photo with you, and then we just call it a fan meetup from then on? How about that? When I'm there, just cash me outside. How about that? And we'll sort something out. What is my Facebook name? Believe it or not, my Facebook name is Trent Hamilton NZ. I'm going to get in trouble for stealing that from somebody else, but that is it. What are the cons of being a brass player? Just so many women, so many women. And if you're a member of the BLT community, that could be a problem. However, I understand why women would be attracted to women, as I am attracted to women and agree with that point of view entirely. Having seen myself in the mirror, I don't understand males being attracted to males. It's not up my alley. That was probably a bad phrase, but, you know, Yeah, I'm not particularly politically correct, so I'm probably going to get in trouble for those comments. What would it take to get a CD review from you on the recently released 2018 New Zealand National Youth Brass Band? Send me a copy of it. I'll listen to it, and if I like it, I'll say some words about it. Someone's going to let me go. Good night. I appreciated your holding on so tight. It just made the loneliness seep out of my life for a while. But have a good night. How do I feel about wooden trumpets? Splintery. What piece makes you get them feels and the emotionals? There are a few pieces of music that do get me a little bit emotional. One was the one that we carried my Nana's casket out to at her funeral. That one gets me a little bit going because we also played it at my granddad's funeral on the other side of the family. So my dad's mum and my mum's dad, we played the same song. So that one gets me a bit emotional. The Muppets theme tune, also just the power of the lyrics. Just really gets me going too. Chopin's Marche Funèbre is something that I have played a couple of times, actually on pipe organ too, which is quite nice. But then it goes from the minor key into the major one, and it gets really hard because you have to put lots of fingers down at once. Manamana do 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 do. Suggest you save that for the bathroom. How would somebody go about getting into instrument repair? If you want to get into instrument repair, the very first thing you need to do is have experience in breaking instruments. So what you would probably be best served to do is just break as many instruments as you can and then pay and watch for somebody else to fix them. Could you do reviews of brass band stuff that you find fit? As a fitness enthusiast, there's just too much stuff that I am finding fit. I don't understand the question. So I think most of the comments now are starting to get a little bit weird, including from just some weird people. So if there are any more sort of serious questions, then I'm happy to answer serious questions, and we'll go from there. My throat's starting to get a bit dry, so I might need to shut up soon. My favourite song, I don't know. Music is such a thing where it depends on the mood as to what I enjoy listening to. There was a song that years and years ago, I remember searching for trombone song, and there was a song by, was it Tom Waits, called The Rusty Trombone or something? It was something to do with a trombone, and I used to listen to that quite a lot, but I haven't played that for a very long time. Favourite test piece? I don't know. I really don't have a memory for pieces and composers and things like that. Where do I see the New Zealand banding movement going in the next 10 years? Well, based on the quality of the marching that I saw at the national competitions, they won't have gone very far whatsoever. Oh gosh, my throat's starting to get quite dry. I'm starting to cough, so I might actually end it there. If anyone wants to send me any really important questions that they have, you're welcome to contact me on Facebook. The links should be in the description of the video or any other video that I've published. Oh golly. Yeah. Can I release a series of audiobooks? Yes, they just won't have been written by me. So thank you everyone for joining with me. If you've got spare money burning a hole in your pocket, then follow me on Patreon. That would be most appreciated. But otherwise, have a good night, and I will see you soon. Once I've had my surgery next week, I'll do another video or an update or something just saying how it went, whether I died or not. Something stuck in my throat, probably ear or nightmares or something. Yes, I will do another live stream at some point. But yeah, follow me on Facebook. It'll be great. Thanks very much for watching.